Hello, everybody, and welcome into today's episode of Around the Slice. I'm sure you all have heard by now, but officially the NFL announced that the 2024 NFL schedule will be fully revealed at the time of this recording in 2 days, this Wednesday, May 15th at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time on NFL Network. First of all, we usually get it the second Wednesday. Usually, like the last few years, we've gotten it the second Thursday of May, but for whatever reason, they didn't announce why or as to this was delayed. But it was basically delayed a week, so we would have had it Thursday, May 9th, predictively. But again, it's Wednesday, May 15th, and I've been thinking on my head, well, why doesn't the NFL just have it like a set date every single year? Why don't they have it the second Thursday of May every single year so there's no confusion with people and people can look forward to it like football, Christmas, like reveal day, if you will? Well, that's because I found out the NFL is out to make money. And if they set date the second Thursday of every May, the hype will die down. I mean, obviously, people would still be hyped for the schedule release, but there'd be no speculation of, well, what if this team do this? Well, when will the schedule be released? Basically, the NFL is king, and we're all here we are. I am making content about it, around it. So the NFL, like, they would lose all the speculation. And Roger down the NFL wants as much speculation as possible, much hype and talk about their sport as possible, which is fair, but that's why it's not a set date. This is when it will be revealed every second Thursday in May. That's not confirmed or anything. I'm just like speculating off the top of my head here. Anyway, okay. With all that housekeeping stuff out of the way, I have for today, I think, a pretty interesting idea slash topic, this episode, if you will. At least I think so for you guys. I am going to do a Bills ideal 2024 NFL schedule. Now, I'm not going to go through every week. I'm not going to go through week 1 is this, week 2 is this. I'm not going to make a mock schedule of literally every single week. Other people have done that. That's fine. And for people that say, whoa, mock schedules and speculating about the schedule are a waste of time, why don't you just wait till the schedule comes out? This is fun for me personally. It's exciting to try to put the puzzle pieces together, if you will, the pieces of the puzzle. It's fun to kind of speculate when will the Bills play this team? When will they play that team? So for people that say it's a waste of time, fine. You think it's a waste of time. But for me, it's not. It's something I really enjoy. I literally could talk about the schedule for hours because I, I don't want to, like, I'm not like a beat reporter traveling around different cities, but I plan my content around on this podcast around when they play. Like if it's on a holiday, I gotta not change my holiday plans, but I gotta, to be taking notes during the games and whatnot. If it's on a night game, if it's on an evening game, 1 o'clock, 4:25, holiday, like I just said, prime time, whatever it may be. So obviously we plan our lives around this, and it's just fun to try to put the pieces of the puzzle together, if you will. So anyway, ideal Bills schedule. Let's just get right into it. Now we already obviously 17 game season. We already know 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. We already know that the Bills will play 8 home games this year, 9 away games this year. We just don't know when and what time and what day. But obviously Wednesday we'll know that the time of recording, again, 2 days from now. But they play 8 home opponents this year, which are the Jacksonville Jaguars, Tennessee Titans in Buffalo, Arizona Cardinals, San Francisco 49ers, and honestly, New York Jets, New England Patriots, Miami Dolphins for the AFC East, and the big confident matchup every week, big confident matchup every year, Kansas City Chiefs. And then we play 8 or 9 away opponents. So 8 home opponents, 9 away games. So 9-8 away outweighs it by 1 game. But Bills away opponents in 2024 which we know of, at Houston Texans, at Indianapolis Colts, at Los Angeles Rams, at Seattle Seahawks, and then the AFC East, at New York Jets, at New England Patriots, at Miami Dolphins, and then at Baltimore Ravens, at Detroit Lions. As you can see, that's insanely tough. Like, just obviously your division games are insanely tough too, but they obviously the Bills made it harder than they need to be last year, minus the Dolphins, because we stomp them every year. Sorry, we just do. But yeah, that's a really tough schedule. Home, I can deal with, but away, that's a gauntlet right there. So hopefully they spread them out. But now I will go to let's start with my ideal schedule. Now, I want to preface that with this. I am not here to, say what's best for the NFL. I'm not here to say, well, this wouldn't make sense because blah, blah, blah. I'm not predicting. This is what I personally want. If I were commissioner of the NFL, which I'm obviously not, and if I were making the schedule, which I'm obviously not, but let's say hypothetically I was, if I were making the schedule, this is how I would set it up for the Buffalo Bills from a Bills lens. I'm doing personally what's best for the Buffalo Bills. I don't care about what's best for other teams. Right here, right now, I'm doing what's best for the Buffalo Bills. So my ideal, so just keep that in mind. This isn't predicted. This is just my personal look at it as a wish list, if you will. My ideal week one opponent for the Buffalo Bills this year. Now I narrowed it down to two teams that I think could make sense. I think it's on the road. So let's check that list. It'll be home or on the road. In my personal ideal world, it's on the road. Now I've seen the argument like they have nine road games this year / away games this year. So would they want to waste one in week one and then start on the road if they have to play the extra one later on? I don't really care about that. Like obviously that plays a factor, but I don't really care about that. So my ideal week one opponent for the Bills, I narrowed it down to two, like I just said. They have two West Coast trips this year at the Seattle Seahawks and at the Los Angeles Rams. It would be great to get a West Coast trip out of the way. Me personally, I picked at Seattle Seahawks week one. I don't think it's prime time. I think we're looking at like I'm not gonna put times for these, but let's ballpark it and estimate. I think it would be like at Seattle Seahawks like Sunday 4:25. That would be like 1:25 their local time, so it makes sense for them too. But Eastern time here in Western New York for Sunday 4:25 p.m. Eastern, whatever. Anyway, the reason I picked the Seattle Seahawks, number one, I just said it gets a West Coast trip out of the way. You have two West Coast trips in the Seahawks and the Rams. And then, oh, by the way, it would be great if you could start at Seahawks week one and then at Rams week two. You could just stay out on the West Coast. Let's say they play at Seahawks week one on a Sunday, and 4 days later they play Thursday night football at Rams. That could be very plausible. But I'm not going to go week by week. I'm just spitballing here off the top of my head. But at Seahawks, you get a West Coast trip out of the way when you're quote unquote most freshest and most healthy. It's week one, so Matt Milano's coming back. We'll see if Mike Hyde retires or not. You got a bunch of new pieces. West Coast trip might be tough for a bunch of new pieces, but that's what rookies and whatnot, and mix of free agent additions. Curtis Samuel, Ken Coleman, Don Kincaid rising up, but it might be good. Actually, I think it will be good in my ideal world here. Me personally, to get week one a West Coast trip out of the way when you're quote unquote most freshest and most healthy. And also, Seahawks, just from a matchup perspective, Seahawks have new pieces to their interior offensive line. Their tackles have been sat for the last couple of years with Charles Cross and Abraham Lucas. That's fine. That's whatever. But at center, they lost Evan Brown to the Panthers, I think it was. Either way, they lost Evan Brown in free agency, which is their center, which isn't great, but it's still a transition at center. And it looks like second-year center out of Michigan, Oluwatimi, double O's they call him. Oluwatimi is going to start there, and Anthony Bradford is an okay guard at one of the spots. And then you lost Damon Lewis, who the Panthers shelled out big money. Now, after seeing the money, I understand why the Seahawks didn't bring him back. But you lost Damian Lewis to the Panthers at one of your guard spots who had a career year. It wasn't excellent, but easily his best year of his career. And it looks like rookie Christian Haynes out of UConn is going to start there at the other guard spot to finalize the offensive line. And I like Christian Haynes, but it's a rookie. So the interior offensive line is changing. So that means Von Miller can hopefully return to form and tee off. Greg Rousseau and AJ Epinesa mainly too. So I'm just from a matchup perspective, that's what I'm thinking. Our D line versus their O line, specifically their IOL, their interior offensive line. Next, this is the most important new coaching staff under Mike McDaniel. New coaching staff under Mike Macdonald. Obviously, 3 years ago, he was the defensive coordinator at University of Michigan in college football. And then for the last 2 years before this upcoming season, he was, I should say, rather, now that he's not anymore, the defensive coordinator of the Baltimore Ravens. Very good units both years. They have been forever, though. And then this year, Mike McDonald's going to have coaching opportunity with the Seahawks, and all their staff is new. No more Pete Carroll. Obviously, Mike McDonald's replacing him. But offensive coordinator, you got Ryan Grubb, who was set to stay at University of Washington, UW, and be the offensive coordinator there. But he's got staying local, just going up a level and be OC offensive coordinator of the Seattle Seahawks, so that's good. But that's going to take a lot to gel. I know the weapons are basically the same with Noah Fant, JSN, Jackson Smith and Jigba, DK Metcalf, and Tyler Lockett. But on defense, you got a lot of new pieces. No longer Bobby Wagner and Jordan Brooks at linebacker. You replaced them with Jerome Baker from the Dolphins and Tyrell Dotson from the Bills. Funny enough, two AFC East rivals on the same team now. Your secretary is still balling there with, I know you cut Quandre Diggs. I heard Jamal Adams might need to come back as a linebacker, though, or want to, actually. But that my point is that's going to take a while, a few weeks at least, a month or so to gel and to get the Seahawks week one to gel into Mike McDonald. Excuse me. Lost my voice for a minute there. To get the Seahawks week one. So all those reasons, get out of West Coast trip out of the way when you're healthy and it's fresh. And then maybe week two, you can come back and play the Rams. But that's my ideal week one opponent at Seahawks Sunday, like 425 or something. And then now I'm going to go who I would want to play early in the season if it was the Buffalo Bills, which I hypothetically am here, and who I want to play later in the season for the Buffalo Bills. I'm not going to say every team in the schedule, just a handful. Ideal opponents for early in the season. I'll say the team, then I'll go over why. I would want to play the Titans earlier in the season. I am really high on the Titans this year, other than Will Levis. Sorry, I'm just not the biggest Will Levis fan. I thought he was clearly a boomer bust prospect coming out of Kentucky, as they say. And I'm not really a fan. Like, yeah, he had that 4 touchdown game, and 2 of them went to DeAndre Hopkins in his first ever start. When Ryan Tannehill got injured, he never gave the reins back. But after that, it's kind of but I really like their weapons. I think they overpaid Calvin Ridley, though. Treylon Burks or whatever. But they have Tyler Boyd in the slot, probably to replace Treylon Burks. Maybe the Bills go after maybe a team that needs a solid wide receiver. 4. 3 still, maybe. I don't know. But, yeah, I really like their weapons. They add Jerry and Chidobe Awuzie at corners. Maybe they just need one more safety to solidify that secondary. They signed Kenneth Murray at linebacker, so I'm really on the Titans, except for Will Levis. But if Will Levis catches fire under new head coach Brian Callahan, who was Joe Burrow's offensive coordinator for the last, 4 years of his career, that his whole career in the NFL, that's I'm not gonna say the Titans are gonna be scary if Will Levis catches fire, but they could be for sure playoff contenders, maybe a surprise AFC East, AFC Championship appearance. I know I don't say that lightly, but I kind of believe that. So if we get, is this kind of the same reason as the Seahawks, new management, new head coach, the Titans, new head coach Brian Callahan, new offensive coordinator, defense coordinator. I can't recall right now who they are, their names. Sorry, but I would want to play the Titans early in the year. Early in the year, I'm thinking like week 2, 3, 4, somewhere around there. Somewhere in September would be great because let them adjust to gel with Brian Callahan. If they catch fire, they could be kind of dangerous come November, December, January, and then into the playoffs. So Cardinals. Now, I don't see the Cardinals contending for the playoffs this year. I know the NFC East is NFC East. They're in the NFC West, but I know the NFC is pretty weak compared to the AFC. It's not weak. Like if the AFC didn't exist, it's fine, but it does. So it's pretty weak compared to the AFC. So they could push maybe, but I'm seeing 6 to 8 wins. I don't think they get to 9 or 10, which they'll probably need for the playoffs. So, but that's off topic kind of. I want to play the Cardinals early in the season because they don't have a new head coach, but Jonathan Gannon is going to year 2. And I don't think their roster is overly talented. You have Maserati Marvin Harrison Jr. at wide receiver, but who else you have? Michael Wilson. Let's Randall Moore, but that's whatever. You have Michael Wilson, Greg Dortch, Zay Jones, Mike Harrison's. I like Michael Wilson a lot, probably, but Harrison's probably the only top end receiver I really like. MHJ over there. And that's another thing. If you play them early in the season, you kind of force them to adjust on the fly with Kyler Murray and Marvin Harrison Jr. I should call him MHJ from now. Kyler Murray and MHJ to return to form in MHJ's college days for 3 years. For 3 years at Ohio State when all the downfield shots with him. Let's not give them time to adjust. If you play them later in the season, they're probably not going to push for the playoffs, but let's not give that aerial attack time to adjust. So that's what I would do early in the season. I want to play the Arizona Cardinals with the Cardinals. Next, early in the season at Colts. I am extremely, extremely high on the Colts this upcoming season. Like, you might like have your eyes pop out of your head here, but I think Anthony Richardson is a dark, like deep sleeper for NFL MVP. I don't think anyone's talking about it, but year two, I mean, he's a freak of nature. He's a freak of ability. He's a freak of an athlete. I mean, he's just got to like calm down. It reminds me of Josh Allen's a rookie lot because he's got to calm down when he scrambles. He doesn't really know how to slide or go out of bounds. Josh Allen's got a bit better, but he still needs to get better at that. But Anthony Richardson, I legitimately think, and then I love their weapons. I think they still need a better, solid RB2 behind Jonathan Taylor because it's like Tyler Goodson, Evan Hull, Tyler Goodson, Evan Hull, Trey Sermon right now. One of them's probably going to get cut. But Jonathan Taylor running back. They upgrade over Alec Pierce in the draft with A.D. Mitchell. Probably going to trade Alec Pierce now. They got Michael Pittman Jr. They got Josh Downs as that fun, sparky slot presence. And then I really like their defense. They upgraded edge rusher with Latu. Quiddy Pay's coming along pretty nicely. But he still hasn't had the dominant season for a first-round pick. But they picked up his fifth-year option, so they surely believe in him. The problem is their secondary with Juju Brent and everything. So that's why they got a lot of young talent. They're good on defense, but their defense is pretty young. Their whole team is pretty young. The only veteran they really have is Michael Pittman Jr. He's not even like, he's only in what, like 26, 27, if that. So, yeah. So, I mean, let's not give Anthony Richardson like a reason to beat us later in the season. If like they're hunting for the playoffs, they can knock us off. So, I want to play them early in the season before, Shane Steichen really gets Anthony Richardson going. I think he's going to go beast mode, if you will. So, yeah, I don't got any other reason, but I'm kind of terrified of the Colts later in the season because if they catch fire, they're going to be a wrecking teams. Basically, is the only way I can put it. So, I really, really prefer to play them early in the season. Probably the most of all these teams here. At Rams, I said this, so I'll go kind of quicker, but I said this earlier with the Seahawks. If we open at Seahawks and then we could stay out there for a West Coast trip, and then 4 days later, we play week 2 at Rams, at Seahawks the Sunday, at week 1 at Rams the Sunday. 4 days later, the Thursday, week 2. That would be great. Perfect scenario. And how London was botched. I didn't do that just yet. Sorry, I don't know if you heard that, but that was my Siri. I have my earbuds in, so you probably didn't. But if you did, that's I don't know why that went off on my phone. But back to what I was saying. So you're just checking. Back to what I was saying. Rams week 1 Sunday, and then 4 days later at Rams Thursday. That'd be great. After how London was boxed last year, guessed by Sean McDermott, was his fault, bank sleep, blah blah blah, all that stupid decision. I hope we don't play national games this year, by the way. But anyway, back to the topic at hand. I think they would want 2 games in a row. And I think the Rams, I want to play them early season. This isn't like we must play them early season like the Colts because I'm pretty terrified of them as October, November, December, or January rolls along. But Rams, people are kind of underrating them, even after the year they just had. I think they can be a sneaky surprise NFC Championship game bid, game appearance with the Rams. I love their weapons. Cooper Kupp. He's not dust. People act like he's old and done. Yeah, he's 30. Okay, big deal. And then Puka Nacua, who fifth round pick at the BYU, broke every record and literally broke rookie receiving yards record, rookie receptions record. The only thing he didn't do is break rookie touchdown record. Big deal. But I really like how the Rams defense is coming together with Jared Verse off the edge. Braden Fisk in the interior with Kobe Turner, and then Byron Young off the edge too. I really like their secondary with Trey White. By the way, that is gonna be weird. Like I'm gonna feel sad. I'm gonna feel like I want to root for him, not in this game, but I want to root for him to get back to every ounce of Tre'Davious White, every ounce of Trey White that he was pre-injury because he was so good. Every time I talk about him and think about him, I almost tear up because I get really sad. Trey White, as soon as I fell in love with the Bills, I've said this before, then I fell in love with him too. But if we could stack a West Coast trip, if you will, to Seahawks at Seahawks week 1 at Rams week 2, let's do that early in season to open it up. And then less team I would prefer to play early in season than the rest. I don't mention I don't really care either way, early, late, whatever. At Ravens, I feel like the Ravens are kind of due they always start out really high and then sputter late in the season. I feel like it's kind of the opposite this year. I don't think Derrick Henry will have any time issues adjusting, but they got a lot of offensive line turnover. They lost Kevin Zeitler, one of their guards. They lost both their guards, Kevin Zeitler to the Lions, and then John Simpson. There we go. The Jets, respectively, and their tackles aren't the best to begin with. So, in their defense, they're losing Mike McDonald. They have a new defensive coordinator. I think they're promoted from within. Sorry, but I can't think of his name right now. And yeah, so I'd prefer to play the Ravens early in the year because I think they're going to flip the script, if you will, whereas they usually start off really bad, start off blazing hot, and then finish kind of stumbling, just like the Dolphins. Kind of stumbling. I think it'll be the opposite this coming year. And then ideal opponents for late in the season. First, Jacksonville Jaguars. Last year, the Jaguars started really high. At one point, they held the number one seed in the AFC for even like 2 or 3 weeks, almost a month. And then they just, boom, catastrophic, fell apart. Like they blew the AFC South lead to the Texans, and they couldn't even make the playoffs. Like they literally blew it. And I feel like it's going to be the same story this year. September and October, they are awesome. And then November, they're in December and heading into January. If they even make the playoffs, they're kind of eh. So I kind of split, guys, to how I feel about the Jaguars this year, but that's why I want them later in the season. Later in the season, 49ers, they're going to be riding that high. This doesn't really matter early or late, but they're going to be riding that high from the Super Bowl appearance. They'll be out for revenge. And I feel like later in the season, since they're pounding teams so much, maybe they don't go as hard. Maybe they don't play as hard and play up to the competition, but we'll see. And then Chiefs. I'm thinking this one's a primetime game, guys, because the last 2 years it's been at 4:25. And I feel like this would be later in the year because last year it was, but we're due for this to be primetime. Later in the year, though. And then at Lions. Oh, my God. I am so scared of the Lions this year if I were the Bills. You got Dan Campbell's head coach, who's just amazing. And then defense, you have James Houston and Marcus Davenport edge. If you add just one dominant edge rusher to pair with Aiden Hutchinson, that would be awesome. But I love how that defense is coming together with DJ Reader and Lee McNeil. You're not running on those two. Those are two elite run stuffers. I mean, you're not running on those two. That's impossible. That's about 650 give or take pounds between the two of them. And then I liked how they addressed their secondary. They have Brian Branch, who can play more of that traditional safety. Now that they actually have corners that can play. Yes, they traded for Carlton Davis, and all they gave up was a third-round pick. I like that for a win-now team like them. I love that they drafted double-dipped at corner more than I think about it. Terrion Arnold, who's, by the way, going to wear number 0, just like Keon Coleman is for the Bills. Any rookie that wears number 0, that's just a power move. You're announcing to the world that you have arrived, you're here. That's just a power move. Anyway, back to the thing. And then they got Ennis Rakestraw out of Missouri in the second round. I don't know why I said it like that. And Missouri in the second round, so I really like that. And then offense, I mean, it's Jared Goff, who's criminally underrated, always underrated. I think he's going to get a big extension this offseason. Well, we're in the offseason, so sometime in a month or so. And then Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery, two-headed monster out of the backfield. David Montgomery, that power rusher, goal line guy. And then Jahmyr Gibbs, he'll get some goal line carries, I guess. But he's more of an elite receiving weapon out of the backfield. And I'm on Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jameis Williams. I really wanted them to sign a veteran or draft some guy because Amon-Ra St. Brown is your route running technician, strictly out of the slot probably. And then Jameis Williams is a downfield speed threat. Like, I would have loved an A.D. Mitchell or Xavier Legette for them because they really need a size element on the outside, not in the slot. So, yeah, but I don't want to play the Lions. They're going to be riding that high of the NFC Championship game, although that loss was totally Dan Campbell's fault. I mean, come on, get a grip. Like, you don't need to go. I love you, Dan Campbell, but you don't need to keep going for every single fourth down. Like, maybe it's 4th and 1, 4th and 2, but it was 4th and 4, 4th and 5. Like, this isn't rocket science here. Kick the damn field goal. Anyway, and then so those are my at Lions, finishing up at the at Lions. So those are my opponents I would want to preferably play preferably play early in the season than late in the season. Otherwise, I mentioned 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So about half our schedule, which I don't really care about any others, early, late, whatever. AFC East division opponents, early, late, whatever. General schedule wishes. I have 3 just general wishes that I don't want for the Bills, or maybe I do. I don't know. I don't want to have to go to Miami in September/early October when it's 95 degrees and the little temperature thing, and then on the field it feels like 110, 120 degrees, and then guys are cramping up like, uh, what was it, 2 years ago? Yeah, like 2 years ago when literally offensive linemen are dropping like flies. We were one snap away, one injury away for Reggie Gilliam, who's a fullback, having to play right guard or one of the offensive line spots. So let's just not go there in September, early October. Ideally, it would be like last year. I guess I don't care about helping the Dolphins, but if you want to help both teams, like the NFL probably will, you would have the Dolphins come to Buffalo in September/early October, so they can avoid the snow. It's still pretty warm out, and then have the Bills go to Miami and at Dolphins in December. Um, you know, to avoid the heat. It's still gonna be hot. It's Miami, but like it's December and preferably a night game, so it's not gonna be as blistering hot. So, yeah. And then don't want to have to play at any holidays this year. Like the more I think about it, like holidays are really cool, but like I said, Thanksgiving, no thanks. Christmas, no thanks. Christmas Eve day is fine because that's whatever. I'm not doing much anyway. I'm just sitting around waiting for Christmas Eve. Who cares? And then but Black Friday, I don't like the whole it's on Prime Video thing. Black Friday seems weird to me. So the only thing I can accept here is a quote unquote holidays, Christmas Eve day. Because like I said, I'm just waiting for family anyway to come on Christmas Eve night, but that's actual Christmas Eve, but that's hours later. We usually host it, but that's hours later. Thanksgiving, nah. Christmas, let's not do that. Black Friday, it's whatever. But I don't want Thanksgiving Christmas because I don't record on the day of, but I have to change my plans around. I'll have to be taking notes before the game, during the game, after the game. That's just a hassle with family and friends, and I just don't want to do that. I want to when I watch a Bills game, I am glued. Even on commercials, like I get stressed out and pace back and forth sometimes if it's a really stressful game. Which last year there were way too many for my own mental health and heart and stuff. So let's not do that again. Ooh, but anyway, I don't want to have to, be stressed in front of family and whatnot. So let's just not plan a holiday. It's exciting and the ratings get up. Unfortunately, NFL probably will. But if it were up to me, let's just avoid that altogether and not do that. Because it screws around with plans and whatnot. And then I would probably like to have snow in December/January games this year in Orchard Park in Buffalo in home games to create an advantage for us against warm weather teams. Like I said, against warm weather teams, specifically the Jaguars from Jacksonville, 49ers from San Francisco on the West Coast, Dolphins from Miami, Florida, just like the Jaguars. I know Jacksonville's northern Florida, kind of, warmer a bit, colder a bit than Southern Florida, Miami. Who cares? Anyway, they're both warm teams, Jaguars, 49ers, Dolphins. I would like snow. Like, we didn't really many snow games last year, other than the playoffs. I'm saying, like, snow wasn't really falling during, you get what I'm trying to say. Snow wasn't really falling during December and January games. I feel like we need that back. Like 2 years ago when the snow started to fall in the fourth quarter against the Dolphins, when we clutched up and won, that and then the Bills, Josh Allen, Tyler Bass, and all them were making snow angels after the game. Like, that's a fun environment. Like, and it obviously creates an advantage for us. So let's just have that again. So I would love quote unquote snow games where there's a lot of snow. I'm not asking for a ton, just kind of a lot to make us an advantage in December and January. Next, I want to discuss our primetime game possibilities. Primetime game possibilities. I have 6 here, and teams can have originally scheduled up to 6 primetime games. That doesn't include a flex. That doesn't include a Saturday. That doesn't technically the NFL doesn't consider Christmas and Thanksgiving and Black Friday primetime games and Christmas Eve day. It's just like at 8:15, Sunday night 8:20, Monday night 8:20, Thursday night, like Sunday football, Monday football, Thursday football. And teams can have up to 6, not including flexes, week 18. Oh, we're going to flex you a 7th one, blah, blah, blah. No, it doesn't include that. So I think primetime game possibilities are the 49ers, a team that just went to the AFC Championship. We would host NFC Championship. We would host them. And then Chiefs. I would prefer this to be primetime because the last few years, when we played, it's been at 4:25. But later in the year, let's have it. And then at Texans, obviously, I could really see this being week 1, Sunday night football. Imagine week 1, Bills at Texans Sunday night football. Stephon Diggs first game as a Houston Texan is against his former team in the Buffalo Bills. I would love to destroy him personally, but hey, whatever. And then at Rams, at Rams, obviously, like I said, my ideal thing is at Seahawks Sunday at 4:25 to open the year, and then just stay out there on the West Coast. 4 days later, you play at Rams on Thursday Night Football and Prime Video. That would be awesome. And then at Ravens and at Lions, same thing. Ravens went to the AFC champ. It wasn't much of a game, but they went to the AFC Championship last year. It wasn't because of their defense. It was because of their offense and stupid Lamar Jackson. But anyway, at Lions too. Like I said, I'm terrified of the Lions this year. So same thing with the Colts. But yeah. So those are my primetime game possibilities. I know people are gonna say, Aiden, where are the Jaguars? I don't really view that as a primetime possibility. They played in London last year. I think that got them out of the way for quote unquote primetime. I don't know. Like I said, I don't think the Jags are gonna be the best at primetime this year. And I think they could have store for a letdown season. Just can't get over last year's catastrophic ending. Ideal Bills 2024 bye week. This is a big talking point because it really does matter when you get rest and whatnot. If it were up to me, I would have the Bills bye week somewhere in weeks 8 through 11. So not too early before week 8, but not too late after week 11. Bye weeks start in the NFL week 4. So imagine having a bye week in week 4 or 5 so early in September, late September, early October, and then you have to go the next 2 or 3 months in the rest of the way after week 4 and 5 bye week and not have a single rest week. Like that's not ideal. Who wants that? So that's a lot of football to be played. My ideal bye weeks of week 8 through 11. No, I don't want to just talk here because I'm gonna compare some historical data, if you will. Bills bye weeks over the last 4 years. In 2020, their bye week was on week 11. That's kind of a bit late for me personally. In 2021, week 11 is perfect. I'm sorry. Week 11 would be great. And then 2021, their bye week was week 7. Same thing, 2022. 2 years ago, bye week was week 7. Then last year, 2023, most recently, their bye week is week 13. That's too late. Week 7 is a tad too early for me. Week 13 is way too late for me. So I'm going to go week 11. If we have it preferably week 8 through 11, more likely I would want week 10 or 11 just because, the Bills' injuries, they clearly needed a rest. But week 13 last year was kind of too late in my opinion. Next, so there's my ideal schedule breakdown. I hope you enjoyed that. Just to recap, I'm not going to recap what I actually explained. You can go back in the episode. But just to recap the topics we had, I said my ideal week 1 opener, who I want to play early as opposed to late in the season, and then some primetime games possibilities and some extra nuggets sprinkled in here and there. Now, moving past the schedule stuff, to end off, I have couple more topics. I want to talk about the recently signed Bills players because I don't think I talked about that really on this podcast. Yeah, I've said it on my Twitter and stuff, but that's written form. I more want to say to you guys, not in person, but through my voice and stuff, like audibly what I think. So first, wide receiver Quintez Cephas. I am really actually excited for this being early. All 4 of these players, there's 4. All 4 of these players have been signed since the couple weeks since the 2024 NFL draft ended. It makes perfect pad your roster, and I think the roster's up to like 87 now. And you can carry 90 through training camp. And this year there's only one cut down day, so you don't have to go 90 to 85, 85 to 80, then 80 to 53. There's just one cut down day on August 30th or 31st, somewhere in there. Last couple of days of August, so for September 1st. So, yeah. Wide receiver Quintez Cephas, 4th round pick of the Lions in 2020 out of Wisconsin. He had modest production there his first couple of years. And 2022, not really much. And then last year, 2023, he missed the whole year. He was suspended for the whole year for gambling by the NFL. We saw that with Calvin Ridley and now Quintez Cephas. I think Quintez Cephas can really push for wide receiver 5, 6 in this offense. He's the perfect height, weight, speed guy. He's 6'2". So Bean's kind of going for size this offseason with Quintez Cephas. Quintez Cephas, Matt Collins, and especially Ken Coleman. Yeah, you have a shifty guy and Curtis Samuel, but he's not short either. He's 5'11". And then Khalil Shakir's 6 foot flat. So, Quintez Cephas. I mean, I still want another true X opposite Keon Coleman, but I'll do it this round. I'm really hyped. And then wide receiver Chase Claypool. I am sorry, but I could not give give a damn about this. Sorry to be harsh, but I don't care. I don't care about Chase Claypool. And that's sad to say. It really is, guys, because he's from Notre Dame. He's from my Fighting Irish. He was dominant there. Second round pick of the Pittsburgh Steelers in 2020. In 2020, he had like 800 yards and like 7 or 8 touchdowns. I think it was like 850 yards and 8 touchdowns. And a few rushing were part of those 8 and like 5 receiving. But after that, 2021, started to become immature and apparently doing these TikToks with Juju Smith-Schuster and not caring about football, blah, blah, blah. And then 2022, trade deadline during the season, Bears traded for him. They gave a second-round pick to the Steelers, which is just looking back on it, absurd. That was too much at the time. It's way too much now. And if you can't make it on the Bears, like, he didn't do anything. He was active, but he was basically a statue. Like, he didn't do anything. Their receivers, so this was the year before, 2 years ago. So they didn't have DJ Moore yet. I've seen no Key Allen or Roma Dunze like that. Not. And Caleb Brown. This was still Justin Fields. But if you can't help out your developing young QB at the time and get on the field over what? Dante Pettis, EQ, Equanimous, St. Brown. Oh my God. And then in 2023, at that trade deadline, first of all, as the season went on, around the trade deadline, he was literally sent home because apparently teammates were getting irked by his immaturity and his personality. He was literally sent home, said, "No, don't come to the facility, don't come to the games," basically telling him without saying but not saying, you're basically a bum, like you don't do anything, you're immature personality. And then he was traded to the Dolphins for a 7th-round pick swap, and then he didn't do anything. He was a healthy scratch and active immediately after that, and I think he was active for a few games here and there. But they were playing guys over him, guys in Braxton Berrios and River Craycraft. If you can't beat out River Craycraft, and if a guy like with the name River Craycraft is playing over you, it's over. And then he signed to the Bills. He's literally can't buy at this point. I think people are saying, well, he could. What if we have untapped potential here? We've seen Chase Claypool enough and be immature. Ain't no untapped potential anymore. Sorry, but it is what it is. And if you can't, like I said, if River Craycraft is playing over you with the Dolphins, whoo, you went vicious. But anyway, if he can't make the business wide receiver 5/6, which he very much could, because it's a mix of Tyrell Shavers, Justin Shorter, Quinton Cephas, AJ, Andy Isabella, KJ Hamler. Like, if you can't make a wide receiver 5 or 6 in the Bills, if you can't figure out the quarterback like Josh Allen, it might be time to, go to the CFL or play in the UFL or something. Sorry, that sounds harsh, but like playing a spring league like this, clearly you fizzled out in the NFL like enough already. And then, so I could care less about Chase Claypool. Sorry, but that's just my thoughts and opinion. Linebacker Deion Jones. Now, this is a sneaky good ad. He was legitimately a top 5, maybe even arguably the best linebacker in the league for a couple years there. But that was like 2016-17 with the Falcons when they blew 28-3 lead in the Super Bowl. The Patriots. Funny, right? Anyway, not really. As a Bills fan, I hated watching it. So what was I saying? Oh yeah, Deion Jones. That defense had at corner Desmond Trufant and Deion Jones at linebacker, and then come to the 1920 range, somewhere around there, the COVID year, that's when he kind of fizzled out. He was cut, signed with the Browns, cut, signed with the Panthers, and then traded, and then, he just hasn't been the same. He's kind of older now, 31, 32, but if he can, he's not going to go back to where he was, guys, but like, if he can make this team, I view this as this. I think the top 4 linebackers are locked in some shape or form. Matt Milano, Terrell Bernard, Nicholas Morrow, Dorian Williams, and then linebacker 5/6, who could be rookie out of Washington, Eddie Ulufosio, and Balin Spector, and Deion Jones, and then they just signed Joe Andreessen, UDFA out of UB, which we'll talk about in a minute. But yeah, I don't know. And then defensive end DeJuan Smoot. This is by far like most hype between Cephas, who I'm pretty excited for, Chase Claypool, who I couldn't give to what's about, and then linebacker Deion Jones, wasn't nearly what he used to be. And defensive end DeJuan Smoot, however that heck you say, defensive end DeJuan Smoot. This is an awesome signing in May. I feel like this is kind of the Leonard Floyd signing from last year. Obviously not as dominant in sack production as Leonard Floyd, But I feel like in terms of setting the edge, run defense off the edge, this is a huge upgrade over the Shaq Lawson role, which I was pretty disappointed that didn't re-sign it, but now I see why, because they kind of have similar skill sets in Dwayne Smoot and Shaq Lawson. So I feel like this is just a huge upgrade for the Shaq Lawson role of Dwayne Smoot. I think this is a roster log, especially look at they actually gave him a decent amount of guaranteed money according to overthecap.com. So according to Over the Cap, they gave him like $1.5 million guaranteed. It's only a 1 year deal, but they put 4 void years on it. So they're willing. What that means is they're willing to push money down the pipe, if you will, down the line. So, yeah, I'm really excited for this. I think that gives you 4 locks of defense line: Von Miller, AJ Epinesa, Greg Rousseau, and Dwayne Smoot, and you're not going to carry 6 defensive ends. So 5th, that's a big competition, between Javon Solomon, Casey Tuhill, and Kingsley Jonathan. I think Solomon is leading it right now, but a veteran like Casey Tuhill could be something. I just don't see Kingsley Jonathan. I'm sorry. He hasn't really done anything. You did Syracuse a couple years ago. He hasn't really done anything. Bills rookie minicamp standouts. I tracked 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5. Yeah, 5. 5 standouts here that are really, really, really kind of liked in terms of training rookie minicamp this weekend. 10th and Friday the 10th and Saturday the 11th. Yeah, May 10th and 11th. So why does your Tyler Shavers currently stood out? Now you might be saying, I thought he was a second-year player out of San Diego State. Yes, he is a second-year player. UDFA at San Diego State, like I said, keep saying second-year player of UDFA at San Diego State, but he's there to show the guys the ropes. Like, obviously, he's not the pedigree of Keon Coleman. Keon Coleman went the very first pick of the second round, and Tyler Shavers went undrafted, but he's to show the guy the ropes. Brian Thompson and other second-year guys there too, but Shavers, he could be a sneaky guy in the roster. And I don't necessarily agree with this, but I'm really wondering more and more if Bean and McDermott, specifically Brandon Bean, though, because he's drafting as the GM, didn't double dip at receiver because they believe in guys like Justin Shorter and Tyler Shavers, especially Shavers. I think like this might be weird to say because Shorter went in the 5th round and then Shavers went undrafted. It's not that big of a difference. But I think I have more heart for Tyler Shavers right now, guys. Like, I know they both have size, and I know Shorter is a bit more athletic, but Shorter was a disaster in special teams last preseason. He's really rigid and raw in his movement. He was a 5-star recruit, went to Penn State, fizzled out there, transferred to Florida, fizzled out there, didn't do much. So Tyler Shavers, look out. And then wide receiver Xavier Johnson, UDFA out of Ohio State. I kind of said this last episode, but every Saturday during the college football season, like I'm there for the past 3 years. Like I don't move from my couch. I know, sounds weird, but whatever. I watched a pretty good amount of Ohio State, just like every team. And Xavier Johnson was kind of a running back, wide receiver hybrid. Running back, wide receiver hybrid. There it is. Running back, wide receiver hybrid, to get him some jet sweeps, to get him some motion plays. But he was stuck behind the big 4, Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, Derek Smith, and Jigwell, Marvin Harrison Jr., who were all first-round picks. But then he was also stuck behind Julian Fleming, who's now at Penn State, Emeka Buka, who's back for another year, and Carnell Tate, who's heading into the sophomore season. So he was really the wide receiver 7 or 8 at best. And then you look at the running backs too, Travion Henderson, Mayan Williams, and Master Teague while he was there too. And he just didn't get a lot of running. Cade Stover and Jeremy Rucker at tight end. Which is the whole Ohio State Buckeyes offense for the past 3 or 4 years, but that's what it was. So I'm really kind of excited for Xavier Johnson. I don't think he pushes for the 53-man roster, but if you're looking between him and Brian Thompson in the practice squad, they like to keep a couple receivers, at least 2 receivers in the practice squad. So maybe it's Andy Isabella and Xavier Johnson, or KJ Hamler and Xavier Johnson. I hope Xavier Johnson makes the practice squad because this is kind of exciting prospect. And then this is really exciting. Running back Frank Gore Jr., UDFA out of Southern Miss. Obviously, son of soon-to-be Hall of Fame running back Frank Gore. I wonder if he'll be in Buffalo. I heard he could be in Buffalo for OTAs, which is this coming week, which I'll cover that, by the way. Quick plug, I'll cover that. But I really think you can push, guys. For your top 4, obviously, James Cook and Reed Davis. That's your locks. But then RB3, I really think Frank Gore Jr. could push Ty Johnson for RB3. I wouldn't predict it. Right now, I think it's Ty Johnson. For my 53-man way too early roster projection I did last week or so. A couple weeks ago, maybe the last episode was. Point is, last episode. So I really think he could push for that spot, if you will. And then almost lastly, second to last, linebacker Joe Andreessen, UDFA out of UB, University of Buffalo. So The local UB pipeline continues. Buffalo Bills, Buffalo, yeah, whatever. Self-explanatory. The local UB pipeline continues. They did it with, let's see, Jamarcus Ingram at corner, undrafted. Cam Lewis at safety, more of a safety now, undrafted. And Joe Andreessen, like I said, that your top four linebackers in some form or fashion is Matt Milano, Terrell Bernard, Nick Smart, Dorian Williams. Oh, excuse me. There. Sorry about that. So those four are locks, and then fifth and sixth, if you can, I think they'll carry six linebackers. Are Eddie Ulofoshio, the rookie out of Washington, who has big special teams acumen, but Joe Andreessen has special teams acumen too. And then you have a veteran like Deion Jones, and then can't forget about Bailey Inspector. He just injures a hamstring seemingly every time he gets playing time special teams. I think between Bailey Inspector and Eddie Ulofoshio, though, you hope you have your future Tyler Matakevich, who's a staple on the next 4 to 5 years. A lot of years, number of years down the line, a couple of contracts, at least a few for the special teams acumen. And then corner, Kenai H. Lovely. I don't think the H is included in there. Corner, Kenai Lovely, UDFA out of Western Michigan. I think he went undrafted because he ran a 4.37 at the combine, so that's fast. So usually players get drafted on speed, but he's not the biggest size. He has okay size, but I really think, people said, beat reporters said, that he can maybe push for the roster over Jamarcus Ingram because you have your two guys in the slot corner with Taron Johnson and Day Hardy, who's rookie out of Penn State. So Taron Johnson and Day Hardy are your two slot locks at slot corner. And then your three locks to outside corner are Russell Douglas, Christian Benford, Kyrie Elam. So that's 5, and you need that Saran Neal replacement. And I think that's going to be Jamarcus Ingram for now. I don't really see Kenai Lovely, again, UDFA out of Western Michigan, hopping Jamarcus Ingram anyway. But I think all he has to beat out for the practice squad with a couple elevations, all he has to beat out for the practice squad is Kyron Brown. I think he can do that very easily. Like, that's not really a debate. So I think Kenai Lovely is firmly in play. Again, UDFA out of Western Michigan at corner. Kenai Lovely is firmly in play for the practice squad. Anyways, guys, I know this is a bit longer episode than usual, but I hope you don't feel like it dragged on because I really enjoyed today's episode. We covered a lot of things. We covered a jam-packed episode. We covered an ideal roster, and then we went over, there's really only one or two I really like with the Bills recently signings, and then we covered some mini camp standouts, and then Tuesday's OTAs, and then tomorrow, the time of this recording, is OTAs, I believe. And then Wednesday is a schedule release. I'll be back either Thursday or Friday, hopefully. Well, I know, but one of those 2 days to cover the actual schedule. Just like last year, we'll go through what I like about this matchup, what I don't like about this matchup, basically kind of a preview, if you will. Anyways, guys, for my plugs, you guys can follow me. If you enjoy what I have to say, my thoughts, you can follow me at my Patreon for just $3 a month. You get extra exclusive content not found in the podcast episode previews. I've been ramping up a lot lately, so patreon.com/runtheslice. And then my personal Twitter is at @aweigner13. If you want to hear my thoughts before everyone else does, I guess, my immediate thoughts on sports and stuff. And then podcast Twitter is at Around Slice for scheduling updates and whatnot and episode links. And then TikTok, I don't really do this much, but I'm going to start posting more episode clips on there and thoughts on different things, is Around Slice. So there's where one more time, that's where you can find me. Anyways, guys, I really enjoyed this episode. I hope you did too. We covered a lot, but I'm glad we did. And I'll be back either later this week, Thursday or Friday, hopefully, for my initial reaction to the actual Bills schedule. That's just my ideal how I would do it. Anyways, guys, thank you for watching today. Have a good day, or a good week, I should say, until I see you next time. Bye.